Welcome everyone to our session today. I feel that this is one of the sessions that I could do over and over and over again and have changes every time we do it because there's so many things we can talk about that are related to working with Copilot that are related to working in finance and accounting. But we do want to focus today specifically on Outlook. But of course, there's a lot that Copilot in general can offer to these types of industries. So when it comes to working with Copilot, Copilot is, as Matthew was saying, it's an application that is part of our Microsoft 365. Most of the features that I am going to show today, it is required to have a paid for license so that we can integrate Copilot with Outlook. And we're going to see today that there is a lot that we can be using in Copilot with the connection of Outlook to be able to really, automate processes and be able to really get the analysis of what is going on in our day-to-day lives or what we could have missed. And there's just a lot of integration between these two applications. So one of the things that as working in finance or accounting, we're always looking for ways, as the slide says, we're always looking for ways that we can get workflows running smoothly, reducing manual effort, and digging deeper into the insights of your information. So that, with that being said, that's where that license for Copilot comes into play. So we want to have that integration so that Copilot can actually be analyzing the information that is in our 365 environment. So that's what that's all kind of referring to. So first off, what exactly is Copilot? Copilot is an AI tool that is a part of your Microsoft. So it's kind of Microsoft's version of chatting and integrating the human-like response that we can get with the AI chatting capabilities. So it does use a large language model, which is the AI side of things, where it is automatically going to be able to look through your Microsoft account, which is secure. Just so you know, it is secure. So it's going to look through your Microsoft account based on the prompts that we give it. It's going to be able to give a human-like response back. It's going to be able to help you automate processes, automate anything that you need to be working on. And you'll see some examples of how that all works today. So one of the things to remember is that when we are using Copilot is based on prompts. There are some built-in capabilities that we'll see in Outlook today, but really it's based on prompts. So a big part of using these prompts is to make sure that we're giving it the right prompt. And the prompt is the chat. So when we're in the Copilot app and we're chatting with the system to ask it questions about what we want it to do and different things, it's very important that we actually give it the correct chat, the correct prompt. If you don't, you might be a little frustrated because it may not be giving you a result that you're expecting. So it is a good idea to kind of think about how you're going to structure what you're going to be asking Copilot to do. So it's kind of like in your head, kind of plan it first, give it enough information. The more detail you give it, the better the response or the action, because it does do actions, the better the action will be. So we talk about making it clear. We have to know what the objective is that want Copilot to provide us back based on the answer we want to get. Be detailed. Be as detailed as you possibly can. If I just say to Copilot, what's an email from this person, it's not really going to know. The more detail we give it, the better the response will be. Kind of set the scenes, set the style. So if I'm going to ask Copilot to help me write an email, if I just say, write an email based on communication, it's not going to really know exactly what I'm referring to. I could say, write an email to this group of people based on a contact list that I have or based on a team, etc. And I could say, based on communicating via email or using communication in Microsoft Teams, the more specific you are in the prompts that you give it, that the better the result is going to be at the end. So I needed to kind of mention some of this information about prompting before we really kind of dive into using it. Now, there are a lot of suggestions on how you can be prompting, how you can be talking with the system. We're going to see some great examples of that today, because sometimes we don't know what we should be saying to Copilot. What can we be asking Copilot? What can Copilot actually do? So I'll show you some examples of where you're going to find that information. It will be very helpful. So we'll get into a lot of that here today, but this is just some things to be thinking about, of some simple starter prompts, because we need to know what it is that we can be asking Copilot to be able to generate information back. So this is just a little bit of a list. I just wanted to provide that for you. So when it comes to using Copilot for accounting and finance, what are some things that we're going to be able to do with it? So as you can actually see, when we kind of focus in just on the application for Outlook, it can help you draft a professional email. So if you need to respond to a client, they're late on an invoice, they have a question and you need to respond to that question, we're going to be able to utilize different aspects of Copilot in an email. And we're going to see some examples of doing that. It can summarize an email thread, an email conversation. We're going to see an example of how that can work today. So let's say that we had somebody in sales that was working with a client and they sent us this email conversation that they were having, and we need to get involved because they're asking about invoices. They want to know about, is their credit limit? They want to know any information. We can analyze, well, not we, Copilot can analyze that email and come back and give us a summary of that email, and we can ask it further information. So we can have it do the work for us, especially when we're talking about a conversation that could be 20 emails back and forth between people. It's very difficult for us to read through that ourselves and kind of summarize it in our heads. So we want Copilot to be able to do those kind of things. Another example, that number 2, is scheduling meetings. So Copilot can actually help us set up those meetings. It does so much with meetings, it's kind of crazy. I don't do much with my emails if I don't have Copilot involved. It just is my true Copilot. When we stop and think about, I need an assistant, Copilot is our assistant. Okay, so it can help us set up client meetings. You can see that it can easily schedule meetings with clients to discuss financial reports, tax planning, etc. It can also help with recurring meetings. Now you'll see a little bit more with meetings of different things that it can do as well. But also it can help us with organizing tasks and deadlines. It can help us set up reminders. It can help us with task management. We can actually have an email turned into a task. We can have Outlook take an email and turn it into, with the help of Copilot, it can help us turn that email into a meeting. And we're going to see examples of how to do that today. But also to kind of continue this conversation of, different things that Copilot can help us with a accounting and finance focus, is preparing for a meeting. It can help us with creating agendas and different things, and the agendas can be coming from different conversations that we've had throughout an email structure. So if I were needing to, and kind of referring back to, let's say that we have a new invoicing process that we're trying to plan out. The way that we're currently processing our invoices, we need to do some tweaking to that process. And we've been having email conversations back and forth with our coworkers, maybe everybody that's in accounts payable. And we've been kind of emailing back and forth as a group. We can take the structure of that email, turn it into a meeting, and Copilot can actually help us with what the agenda topics could be. Now, I may not have perfect examples of conversations like that in my email because technically I'm not in those roles, but it can do any type of email can be turned into a meeting, and it can take the contents of that email and structure what the agenda could be based on the conversation that was happening during those. So it's pretty exciting, and I get shivers kind of thinking about the different things that Copilot is really assisting us with today. And if we think back on how we did things a year ago, 2 years ago, 5 years ago, and think about what we're going to be doing in a year, in 6 months, in the next month, by having Copilot help us, we are going to be more efficient. We are going to be more organized. It just is unbelievable what Copilot can seriously help us do. But just a couple of other things: enhancing collaboration when we talk about using Outlook and Copilot together. It can help us with sharing documents very easy, assigning tasks to people, automating routine conversations. We can have email templates, monthly financials. So if, let's say that I have to send a financial report every Friday, Copilot can actually help us structure all of that as well. There's so many different things that we can be using Copilot for. So when it comes to kind of thinking about the different roles that you have, whether you're in the finance group, you're in the accounting group, which of course can be very close knit, different financial roles. You're the accountant, you're the analyst, you're the auditor, you're in operations, you're in procurement, all of those different segments. And of course, there's a lot of different types of roles that you could be playing within your organization. Copilot can definitely, if you stop and think about what it is that you do during the day, just kind of think about, as you're going through your daily process, your daily operational tasks, think about, what can Copilot do to help me in this area? Every day I need to do this, every week I do this, and I'm in Outlook. And in Outlook, I always have to manually go do this, this, and this. Think about, as we're going through these examples today, as to how you can start using Copilot right away. Write down some things as we look at these examples of, oh, this would help me here. This would help me in this area. And kind of look at the different things that we talk about today. Now, of course, your handout is going to give you some written examples that you can be using to kind of practice with Copilot as well, because it does require practice, especially when we talk about these different prompts that are available within Copilot. You definitely want to be practicing, especially before you would go live and use it with other people. But just to give you a few ideas. So the other thing that I want to mention before we dive in is, here's the top 10 things that you can start trying today. So think about what you have going on this afternoon. Which one of these 10 do you think you could kind of jump in and start using today? Recapping a meeting is definitely something that I use Copilot for all the time. So and this is kind of Teams related, but yet it's Outlook related because of the fact that it's in our calendar. It's calendar related. So we can actually use Copilot to go back after a meeting that we used Microsoft Teams, and we can recap that meeting. We could then use Outlook to say, okay, now we need to do a follow-up meeting. So we could use Copilot to help us schedule a follow-up meeting based on the recap of that meeting that Copilot helped us recap. We can summarize an email thread, which I mentioned already, and we'll do an example. I use Copilot every day to help me draft emails. So if I need to send an email to my accounts receivable group based on a specific subject, let's say that we were having some difficulties, there were some invoices that were missed or we didn't get the approval from the appropriate party, and we need to kind of come up with a good way to say that. Copilot can not only help you draft it, but it's also going to help you with coaching. Coaching is something that I use every day, all day long. So if I'm going to send an email to the executive committee, to the owner of a business, I'm going to send it to my coworkers, whatever. I write the email out and I use Copilot to help me draft it, but then I'm going to also take advantage of the Copilot feature called coaching to make sure that the tone is accurate. I'm being professional. I sometimes need to reword things and whatever. Copilot can help us with that. It can help summarize documents, and we can be doing that right within Copilot within Outlook. It can help us with so many different aspects. So let's dive in. I won't go through the rest of those. You can kind of see those in your handout as well. But let's dive in and take a look at how we can actually start using Copilot. So what I'm going to start with here is the Copilot app. Now, why would I be going to the Copilot app to be talking about using this in Outlook? Well, it is directly connected to Outlook because I'm going to be utilizing my work licensing. So when I first open up Copilot, and by the way, how did I open Copilot? Copilot is available directly within Outlook, so of course we'll see that, but I opened Copilot right now from the taskbar down at the bottom of my Windows 11. So I just clicked on the Copilot icon. It takes me to this window. I'm going to say that I'm going to be using my work account, not a free personal account, because I want it to automatically be connected to my 365 account. So it's only working through a school or a business account. So it has to be a school or a business account to be utilizing the connectivity through your Outlook. And it's my Outlook email. It's not a Gmail, a personal account, anything like that. And by the way, just so you know also, any files that you want it to be analyzing do need to be saved to a cloud environment, just so you're aware of that. So how can I actually be using Copilot? So first off, let me show you this. So when you are in, sorry, I moved my mouse a little bit. So when you're in Copilot at the very top, you want to be in work, not the web. The web would automatically be going to the internet to look things up. So right now I'm on work. And when I'm on work here in Copilot, I'm getting suggested prompts. And that's back to that prompts conversation that we had a few minutes ago. So you can see that it's giving me a suggested prompt of get calendar information. So when's my next meeting with a specific person, whether that person is a client or it's a coworker. So let me show you an example of that, because that's of course the integration that we have with your Outlook calendar. And of course, even if it were in Teams and Outlook integrate together. So even if it's a Teams meeting, or it's a face-to-face meeting, it doesn't matter. It's utilizing your Outlook calendar. Therefore, we can utilize Copilot directly with it. So I'm going to click on this prompt, when's my next meeting with? And it goes down to the chat. So it automatically added when's my next meeting with, and it put in a slash. The slash is your actions menu. So anytime we're in the chat and we type a slash, it will bring up the all category, people, files, meetings, and emails. It knows that I was looking for a person. So it's going to bring up your global address list, or you can simply just start typing the person's name and it's going to automatically look through your global address list and find who that person is that you're looking for. Okay, so if I click student 1, I'm telling the Copilot that I want to know when's my next meeting with student one. So it's going to be looking at my Outlook calendar. At the bottom right, I'm going to click the airplane icon. I call it the airplane, the send, or I could have pressed my enter key, and it's automatically analyzing my Outlook calendar, looking for when I have the next meeting coming up with that person. So it automatically came back and it says your next meeting with student one is scheduled for today at 2 o'clock. It is a department meeting organized by you. And you can see that it's giving me a link right there where it says department meeting. It's showing me this link. And when I hesitate on it, notice it's giving me this actions menu where it says, help me prepare. What's the latest from student one? Ask me about this. So it's giving me additional suggestions about that meeting. We couldn't do these kind of things a year ago. These are newer things that are built in to Copilot with Outlook now. Also, down at the bottom, it's giving me suggestions down here as well. And it says, can you provide the agenda for the meeting? Who else is attending this meeting? Any documents I need to review before this meeting? So these are additional tools that you can take advantage of. But I'm going to jump back up here to the response I got where it has that link to the actions menu, which is a brand new feature here in 2025. So from there, I'm going to actually go into, let's say that I want to, my screen keeps popping away here. Let me see if I can get it to stay on there. For some reason, it's being weird. I'm going to click the link. Let me jump back here. It kind of was being weird on me. Sorry about that. So let me come down here and I'm just going to say, help me prepare for this meeting. And I'm going to press my enter key. So Outlook and Copilot can work together so that we can actually be prepared for this meeting. And I'm not even in Outlook. I'm in the Copilot app doing all of this. So it's directly connected, but it's taking advantage of the Copilot app to look at my Outlook to bring back this information. So it came back and it said, sure, here are some details to help you prepare for that meeting today. Here's the details. Here's the related emails for this meeting. So there was a voicemail that was left. So it's looking through the emails to see the latest emails from that specific user. So pretty cool that we have that capability of having that connectivity. But this was only one example. Let's say that I go to the top right and I click on new chat because I want to start a new chat with Copilot. When I say new chat, it brings up back to the prompts again. Stay informed is another option that we have here. So where it says stay informed, what's the latest from, and I could choose a specific person and it can automatically look through my Outlook and it can come back and say, here's everything that is related to this specific person. So if I had a person that was in my accounts payable department or somebody that I was working with on some financial reports, and I want to know what was the latest information related to that person, there's a suggested prompt I can use, or I could manually type it into the chat as well. But I'm going to go ahead and click on this and I can replace this person's name with anybody else's name. Just by going to that person's name, I could select it and put in somebody else's name, just so you're aware that I could do that. Sorry. I clicked on the name of the person and it automatically took me to an email with that person. But let's go ahead and I'm going to keep Mariola. I'm going to say, what is the latest from Mariola organized by emails, chats, and files? So it's going to scan through my Outlook and find the information. So I use this all the time. And actually I can't show it to you because it's confidential, but I had one that was related to invoices. And so I could have said, find the latest emails related to invoices. And it's going to scan through all of my emails and come back and show me any emails that were related to invoices. Or I could say, find all emails related to financial reports, and it would come back and show me every single one of those. So I literally use this all the time because I am my accounting department. I am my finance department. So I am using these types of things here through the Copilot chat every week because I do my billing and kind of stuff every week. So these are things that I am using absolutely every week. So kind of be thinking about how you can take advantage of these as well. Did somebody have a question? Okay, because I could hear somebody's microphone was on there. But anyway, just so you can see, it came back and it analyzed all my messages related to what I had asked it to do. And then down below, it's going to give me suggestions. Can you summarize the key points from the emails? Are there any updates from Mariola's availability? Any details from client training? So whatever topics it is that I'm looking for, it can come back and give me additional suggestions. Now, also, just so you're aware, when we are seeing those prompts at the top, so let me go to a new chat again. When you're seeing these prompts at the top, these prompts are specifically related to working with your 365 connectivity. So looking at your information, these may not all be related directly to Outlook, but we can narrow it down to say, I need to know what some of the, Outlook prompts would be. But just so you can see, track your tasks. That's a suggested prompt, and that's related to Outlook. What should be on my radar from emails last week? Let me show you an example of that one, because definitely if you were gone, let's say that you were gone last week and you need to catch up on things that you missed last week that were all in Outlook, Copilot can do that all for you. And you could narrow it down to a specific topic, like financial reports, like I had mentioned before. So it can be a specific invoices, approved invoices, invoices from a specific company, whatever. You could narrow it down that way, but let me start with just track your tasks. So down in the chat, it automatically put in what should be on my radar for emails last week. So basically, it's going to scan through your emails, time related from last week, and see if there are any tasks that should be on your radar that you should be taking care of from last week. I mean, if you had to go do this yourself manually, you're going to be wasting a lot of time. So we really want to have Copilot help us do those kind of things. So it scanned through and it came back, here's my 10 things from last week that I should be thinking about. So I could come back and look at all of these different suggestions. Can you provide me more details on this specific project that was part of my emails? What are the alternative times proposed for training and project sync meeting? So related to my calendar. Can you summarize the key points from this presentation? Whatever it is that you need additionally, type it into the chat or use the suggestions and Copilot can go out there and grab those. Now, before I jump into Outlook itself, the last thing that I want to show you right now here in this app for Copilot is I'm going to come down to the very bottom of the chat area, and on the top right of the it's going to say view prompts. I'm going to click view prompts because what this is going to do is help you to know what types of things can I be chatting with in Copilot related to Outlook. It's going to come up with these are the Microsoft prompts, but it's not specific just to Outlook. If you're looking for things that are just Outlook related and wanting to kind of know what are some suggestions of what I can do, go to the bottom right where it says show all prompts. When you go to show all prompts, we can narrow it down just to Outlook related prompts. So if you want to know what are some, things that I can be using Outlook for with Copilot, this is where I would highly recommend you go. This just is a great training tool to help train you on what Copilot can do. So if I go to this category at the top where it says apps, I'm going to say I'm looking for prompts related to Outlook. So now it's going to show you some examples of what you can use. So it can help you draft an email, it can help you reply to an email, announce a new product launch, downtime explanation, view highlights and lowlights, draft a memo. It can help you draft store highlights, announce store initiatives, report store performance. It can help you with all of these different things. And down at the bottom, if you scroll down, it will even take you into show more. And these are all things that can be directly related to utilizing Copilot in Outlook. So just so you know, these are available. Now, it did open up a separate tab on my internet browser, just so you're aware. Okay, these are things just to help you. It's not going to take you to that prompt. You can type it in yourself. But Matthew, before I go into Outlook, did somebody have a question that I can help with?
Yes, someone was wondering, is using Copilot safe with privacy? As we're navigating through our file, through our emails, is it safe to navigate through those files with Copilot?
I'm so glad that person asked that question. And the answer is yes. So Microsoft is very heavily involved with security. So and I got the shivers thinking about this because that was a perfect question to ask, because that's scary to be thinking about how I'm telling you to go to, your Microsoft account and use Copilot to analyze everything that you're doing on your computer with your 365 apps. When you stop and think about that, you should have a red flag popping up in the back of your mind saying, is this secure? Is Microsoft taking my data? Whatever I have that I'm having it look at, because there could be some confidential information in that email that I'm having it evaluate. Is it looking at that and going to utilize that? It does not. It cannot take your contents of your data and send it back to Microsoft where everybody else can see it. So thank you very much for asking that, because you should, as everyone should, have that red flag to say, wait a second. So yes, we are secure with all of this.
Great,
okay?
Thank you.
Absolutely. So let me jump into Outlook and demonstrate some of these great features that we have available. Oops, lost my mouse there. So I'm going to go into Outlook here. And everybody should be able to see that on my screen here. Oops, why is it not clicking on that? There we go. So let's say that I'm in Outlook and I have an email that I've had a conversation going on back and forth with someone. And let's say that it was related to a specific person, it was related to a specific topic, whatever. I could search for the message. So if I go to an email that I had a conversation going on, she sent me an email, I replied, she replied, I replied, she replied, I replied, and we've been going back and forth. I don't want to have to scan through that entire content of that email. So let's say that it was related to, you working with them on an invoicing process, or trying to find a missing invoice, or did we get the payment? And you had that conversation going back and forth, and you need a summary. When you look at the right-hand side of the reading pane, at the very top, you're going to see Summarized by Copilot. I'm going to click on that, and it's going to scan through the entire content of this email and come back with a summary of what the conversation really entailed. We can continue the conversation and ask more details if need be, but this starts out as a number one great feature we can use. But Matthew, did somebody have a question?
Yeah, someone wanted to build upon the privacy question. So someone has recently moved their team's data to Canada, and they're wondering if Copilot's data is also stored in Canada. I'm assuming they're referring to the server in which they're using for their team's data and their Copilot data. I don't know, you might know.
Well, Even if they moved their, because I could have my backup of my cloud information for my server for all my emails and everything, I could have it reside in a different country. It doesn't matter where that is located at. It's Microsoft's apps that are going to have the security built into it. So it doesn't really matter where you physically have your information stored. It's the features built into Microsoft, no matter where you're using it from, that it's going to take advantage of for the security side. So I hope that helps.
So in this case, where they have their team's data, they've confirmed that it's going to a server which is in Canada. With Copilot, the Copilot will not remove data from that server. So it could be the case that the Copilot is being, used by some foreign server, but the data in that you are using within or with Copilot will be navigated, will not exit the server in which it is retrieving that information from. So
exactly.
Yeah, sweet. I actually have a few more questions if you don't mind. If I just keep going. Someone was wondering how deep into your email history will Copilot go to search through your emails? What's the date range there?
There isn't really a date range. That's part of that large language model that we have. Anything that is a part of your cloud, so it's got to be cloud related. It can't be, saved on your C drive, Outlook information. It's got to be saved within the cloud. It will go back in time however far back yours goes. Good question.
Great.
Any others before I jump back? Okay.
Yeah, actually might tag on to that a little bit. Is people are having they're having trouble. They're not getting the same when they were in the Copilot website version. They weren't getting the same options as you, particularly the Outlook options and whatnot in their Copilot site.
App. Yeah. So when they open up the Copilot app, they have to make sure that they're logged in to their Microsoft account. And then at the top, we had those two slider buttons, work versus web. They have to be on work. Okay, so those would be things to check.
Okay, great.
Okay, anything else before I jump back?
So someone was wondering, is this functionality, this integration, is it available in the desktop version of Outlook or only on the web app?
Both.
So both versions.
I'm using the desktop one.
Okay, great.
Okay, so let me jump back in here because we're going to run out of time, of course, but I love these questions. But just so you know, when I was doing that summarization, it came back and at the bottom of the summary that it gave me of this email, it says Ask Copilot. If I click on Ask Copilot, it's going to open up the Copilot window on the right-hand side where I can actually have a conversation with Copilot. So Copilot pane can be opened right on the right-hand side where I could do further investigation, where I could be asking Copilot, look for this email from this person with this subject and tell me if it included this information. Tell me if it had an attachment. So I could be utilizing Copilot on the right-hand side and have it available to further analyze my information. But I'm going to close it for right now because I want to show you some of the other things that I use on a daily basis. So this is one that I use all day long, every single day, 7 days a week, actually, because I work 7 days a week. I use that summarization. But what if I go to create a brand new email? I go to create a new email and I'm on the right-hand side. I'm going to put in who I'm going to send this email to. I'm going to put in what the subject is, department, let's say accounting department meeting. And down in my typing area, you can see that it says type / to draft with Copilot. I can simply click this link where it says draft with Copilot. I'm going to click that and it opens a window. And you can see it says, what do you want this email to say? Well, I want this email to say agenda topics related to meeting with the accounting team about a invoice process. Now, that's probably not exactly how I would word this, but I'm just kind of thinking and typing as I go. Now, I could have given it specific details more so than I did right now, but let me just click this up arrow to generate. And it's going to come back and generate an email based on what it is that I typed in. And you can see it says, hey team, blah, blah, blah. Best regards, Jolene. But down at the bottom, what it is doing is it says, do you need to adjust the tone? Do you want to retry and get another example? Do I want to make it shorter? Do I want to make it longer? It's assisting you in every way possible. Let's say that I want to make it shorter. If I click make it shorter, it's going to go ahead and revise that. You can see that I have these arrows. I could jump back to the first one. I could use the arrow, jump back to the second one. But now I might say, I want to, so what do you want to do next? I could say I want to keep it, I want to discard it, or I want it to retry, make it longer, make it shorter. I can scroll down and I can say change tone. So let's say that I want to change the tone and I want it to be more casual. I'm going to click on that and it's automatically going to regenerate it to make it be more casual. I now have 3 suggestions. So I could go back to the original one. I could do the second one or keep this third one. I'm going to scroll back to the first one and I'm going to say keep it. It automatically now has this email message so that I could use this, but kind of fill in the blanks as I go. You never want to just take it verbatim and send it out. I want to go back and still read it and put it in my own words and maybe add a few things, whatever the case may be. But let's say that I critiqued this, I kind of put my own spin to it, whatever. I'm still not going to click send. Or even if I came into a brand new meeting and I type out an email, I'm not just going to click send. What I have a habit of doing, and what I encourage you to do as well, is to take this email and use what is called coaching. If you look at the home tab of the ribbon when you're in Outlook, you can go to the right-hand side, click on this drop-down arrow for Copilot, and from that drop-down, I'm going to choose this option here called coaching. When you click coaching, it's going to read through the contents of your current message, and it's going to come back with suggestions. So what it's going to analyze is the tone, the reader's sentiment, and the clarity of your email. I personally don't send an email without doing this. So this has become a habit of mine because I don't know, I can read my email back, but it's still not helping me all the time. But anyway, just so you can see, it came back and it said, instead of hope this email finds you well, you could say it like this, or replace I look forward to a productive and collaborative meeting with this. So it's giving me, here's a way to encourage team involvement. Add specific details. So it's letting me know to add specific details. I could go to the bottom right and click apply all suggestions. It will redo the email applying those suggestions, but I don't have to keep it if I don't want to. Or once again, I could go back and critique it again. But I'm going to say, yes, I like this rewritten example. I'm going to click replace. It replaced my meeting or my email with the coaching suggestions. I still need to go back and kind of read it over again and make sure that it's how I would personally say it. But I got to tell you, this has helped me so many times, because what if I go to create a new email, and I'm going to just delete this one just so you know. What if I came in and I started a new email and I came in and I have a late invoice. You are now 30 days past due on this invoice number 1234. Please pay this invoice immediately. oops, immediately, or we will charge an additional fee. If I type out an email like this, do I know that that's really the way that I should say all this? If I go back and I say coaching, I go back to the Copilot app, I click on the drop down and I say coaching. This is what's in my head that I want to say, but it's probably not going to be exactly how I should say it. So it's going to come back and give me suggestions. It's going to look at the tone, it's going to look at the reader sentiment, it's going to look at the clarity. I'm going to say apply all suggestions. It's going to help me write the whole thing again. So I clearly love this capability that we have built in. But that's not the only options that we have for utilizing Copilot within Outlook. So helping you to write the email, helping you with the coaching, those are two wonderful options that we can do. But let's take a look at some other features that we have. If I am in an email, I'm looking at an email. The other option that I had was summarize with Copilot. That's wonderful that we can do that. But let me show you how it can integrate with calendar. So I could take an email, and let's say that I've been doing this back and forth conversation with somebody, and let's say that it was about we need to come up with a different way to process our invoicing. And let's say we've been having that conversation back and forth with that entire team. The accounts payable team, we've all been talking about it via email, and it's like, we need to just have a meeting. We can take the conversation of that email and turn it into a meeting. With the help of Copilot, it can do more than just help us create that meeting. Let me show you. So I'll just pick an email. I'm on an email with someone. It's only one person and it's not related to invoice processing, but let me show you how Copilot can help. If you look at the home tab of the ribbon, there is an option here called Schedule with Copilot. If you click Schedule with Copilot, it's going to automatically start a new meeting with the people that were a part of that email that you were clicked on. So it's automatically taking the subject of that email, the title, the subject, and it's putting everybody that was involved in that meeting. Let me maximize this so you could see it a little bit better. If they were all a part of your company, they're all part of your domain. On the right-hand side, it's opening up your calendar. So whichever date and time you are picking. So if I choose that it's going to be the 18th that we want to schedule this meeting, it's opening up the 18th on the right-hand side so I can see my calendar. If the person or people were a part of your domain, it would automatically be using the scheduling assistant, and it would come up with the best time available for everybody that was a part of that meeting. But the best part of what this did was down in the typing area. It's using Copilot, and I can see the Copilot icon right here at the top left. It has the email right here, and it came up with the suggested agenda. So based on the conversation of that email, it's automatically putting in agenda items. It read through the whole email thread. And it says summarize the conversation so far. So it summarized the conversation here, and I could say insert all of this into the meeting. So it can help you to automate that process of taking that conversation from that email and turning it into a meeting. Now, of course, this could be a Teams meeting. It could be an in-person meeting, because if you look at the right-hand side of this appointment that it's creating, I could slide the button over and say this is going to be a Teams meeting, or I could slide the button over to say this is going to be an in-person meeting. So I'm going to go to the bottom left of this. I'm going to click insert, and it will automatically insert these items into the body of this email so that that agenda and everything is ready to go. Now, of course, if I need to add anything or whatever the case might be, I could do that. But I don't have to manually do any of this if I'm taking it directly from an email and turning it in to an appointment. it will automatically help me do that as well. So just so you can see an example of that. I'm not really going to send this, but Copilot really did all the work for me. I'm going to just go ahead and close that, and I'm going to discard it. Now, of course, I could have saved it, but I won't do that for right now. But throughout your handout, you are going to find the information about using the Copilot app with several suggestions about how you, as being in accounting, being in the finance area of your company, of different suggested prompts that you can be using. You're going to see how it gives you suggestions on how it can draft the emails, how it can help you summarize the emails, how it can set up client meetings, especially by taking an existing email and turning it into a meeting. But how can it be used for other areas? Let me show you a couple of other examples. So one of the examples that I'm going to do is, let's say that I need to have it help me create a meeting that is going to be related to whatever your topic might be. I'm going to, and by the way, I'm just going to copy and paste this. I'm going to go back to my Copilot app. And some things I do directly here in the Copilot app, not in Outlook. I'm going to do a new chat. And down at the bottom in the message, I'm going to copy and paste some data. So I had already pre-wrote this out to save time. But once again, the prompt needs to be very detailed. So act as a financial assistant focusing on cash flow management. Scan email conversations to identify discussions about invoices, blah, blah, blah. Remember, I'm using work at the top. It's going to do whatever I put in here. It's going to automatically scan through my Outlook emails and come back with the suggestions. So I can say, I am in this specific area and I need an email that is going to be sent out, or a task that is going to be added to my to-do list, or I need an email, or I'm sorry, I need a meeting that is going to be for this department on this day, on this time, and I need the content of the agenda to be this related. I can type that in, click send, and it's going to come back with everything that I need to do. It will also take it even further by giving you additional suggestions, and depending on what it is that you're asking it to do, you can go back to the results of it and it can automate that process. Or let me give you another example. Let's say that I want to have an email or create a meeting. I want to do a task, whatever the case might be, and I want it to be to a specific person. I can say, oops, sorry, I have to click there, create a task related to an email from, and I'm going to put in a slash. So once again, utilize that slash. Create a task related to an email from, and I can put in who that person is. I can have it be Matthew. I can have it be, just so you can see an example. I can have it be related to whichever person I want it to be related to. I could have that also, and it's about, and I'm going to put in another slash, and I could say it's about this meeting, this email, this file. So if I had started a report, I could say, and it's related to this report. So I could choose what report is. I could have it analyze an Excel spreadsheet, whatever the case might be. So I'm just going to keep what I have and click send, and it will automatically help me create a task related to, or for that person, related to that person, and related to that specific file. So it says I can't find any emails about that, but just so you know, I just kind of I generically put in some information just so you could see what it would bring back. But if I did have an email from student one related to this file, it would have created the task for me, and it would have given me a link to click on to go into the task to complete it and then click save. It automates all of that for us. Now, I could spend the next 4 hours going through everything that really Copilot can do to help us automate processes and different things, but we are already out of time. So, Matthew, I'm going to bring it back to you to see if there was anybody that had any questions before we close out our session for today. Anything else that I can be helping with?